Welcome to the Linguistics Show, where we talk about life, love, and everything else. There's always something to talk about with this couple, so you never know what may come out of their mouth.
Always blaming everyone else for your misfortune. Then, when that's the case, I saw what you did there. When you blame everyone else for your misfortunes, then you're not taking accountability for yourself. And so I do think that that's a big deal in our community. I think it's something that, guys have been, held to a higher standard of accountability for generations. And I feel like now it's starting to come to the forefront on both sides in our culture. And of course, like, it's kind of been taken as a joke that, like, oh, women are scared of accountability. Ah, the A word, accountability.
I've never heard that. So
well, that's because you're also one of those
in the men's circles.
No, that's also one of those things that, you don't have the app.
Black Twitter?
You don't have the app, so.
First of all, there was that meme that I saw that I did a screenshot of, and you said it was some man. It was the guy who created MySpace. I don't know what his name is.
Right.
But no, I don't have Black Twitter because it's not real. I learned it's only real in the atmosphere of black.
It's just like black music. Like,
that's a real thing.
So is Black Twitter.
There's no black music. Well, actually,
there's no black music.
No,
exactly.
no,
there's
no
cultural
app.
music.
I was gonna say there's no black music app, and I was thinking there probably is some black music website. Anyhow.
Oh my God.
So welcome back to another episode of the Linguistic Show. I am, of course, Carol.
Yep, and this is Jason. I apologize. I'm a bit under the weather, but I'm going to tough it out for y'all today. I really am not feeling well, but I'm not going to have any excuses because of the A word. I'm not scared of accountability.
No, you're not. You never have been. And I definitely value that. And I definitely appreciate that because you helped me to be more accountable. Because I was not held to those kind of standards when I was a teen. And that set me back as an adult. So my parents raised me well to the best of their ability, but they could have definitely held me more accountable for things that I did or didn't do. So now I'm learning as an adult. Now I'm 40. I'm 42. I'm 41.
Oh my gosh. I'm more worried about the fact that, am I an adult? Wait a minute, I'm 41? Yes, you're an adult. What are we talking about?
I'm an adult. I was
trying. Why you had to question that, though?
I was.
Am I an adult?
I was questioning around what age I realized that I should have been held more accountable.
About like 6 years ago?
No, I was going to say in my mid-20s. That does not have an actual number, so...
Oh, like lunchtime?
What time is lunch?
It doesn't have an actual number.
Exactly, which is why you need to figure it out. Instead of saying, I'll be there at breakfast time, I'll be there at lunchtime. What time?
Nobody
Give me a time.
says breakfast time. People do say around lunchtime, though.
I need numbers. I need to have a quantitative definition. I need it to be qualified. I need something. Andy's sleeping, so she can... Andy is a deep sleeper, so she can't hear the bell. So with accountability, Jason was joking. Well, I think he was serious about how sometimes women are not accountable for their actions. And you actually brought up some good scenarios a few days ago about how sometimes men and women think differently as far as accountability. Why are you looking like that?
Because I don't remember what I said. It was a couple days ago. What? When was this?
It was last week.
Refresh my memory.
I will not because
that's because of not being accountable.
No, that's not why. Because as I was talking, I realized that you're gonna save that for Everett, Jamal, and Delonte.
We were going to talk about
and
fatherhood.
Delonte.
We were going to talk about fatherhood. That was a fatherhood episode.
Okay.
That's
Just want to make sure that
no,
I wasn't
that
encroaching
was
on
nah.
your.
I'm not doing a guys talk about girls episode because I don't like that kind of stuff. I feel like people have different opinions of their relationships, and I don't feel like it's cool that people put their opinions of their relationships onto other people's relationships. Now, granted, we had a whole episode about that shit. Yeah, stay keeping people out your relationship.
Keep them out your
We
business.
had a whole episode about that. And so one of the things when I talked to my homies and my brother-in-law about doing an episode for the fellas was we're not going to be engaging in none of this like, well, my baby mama's a jerk because she did this, or my wife is crazy because she did that. Like, we're not going to do none of that. None of that.
Only
There's
two
not
of
going to
them
be
are married,
there's
and
not
so-
going to be any there's not going to be any bashing. There's not going to be any of that kind of stuff. It's not about that. The episode that we're going to do in particular is going to be about the different levels of fatherhood.
So that one is coming soon.
So that's going to be cool because you got 4 different dads and 4 different fatherhood situations who had 4 different relationships with their dads. Mm-hmm. So we're bringing 3 levels of fatherhood from 4 different people. So it's going to be a very interesting story to dispel the myth of the absent black father, because I know several. We out here, we do the damn thing.
Yes, you do.
So anyway, back to what we were talking about today.
Accountability. So for me, as I was sharing a little while ago on the episode, and I may have talked about it like briefly in past episodes, is that my parents did not tell me no enough. And so that was a major issue for you and I in the beginning of our marriage. And beginning is subjective, so however many years you think that it was major.
The beginning.
Yeah, because it was a major problem.
In the beginning.
Because I just did not know. I was not used to people who I cared about, i.e. you in this case, telling me no. And so like it's like growing up as a kid and as a teen, I did not realize that my parents held me to this standard of Carol can really do no wrong. And so they didn't say I was perfect because there is no child. Well, there are some parents who consider their kid the golden child, but I was not like, oh, she's perfect and can't do anything wrong. But
Right.
but when I did make a mistake, they did not usually tell me what I did wrong. They either just brushed over it, they glossed over it, they just didn't hold me accountable for what I did. And
Right.
so they did occasionally. I can only think of really 2 times that they really held me accountable for what I did. And it was for things that I said, which of course it is an action too. But
True.
it was middle. It was in middle school. It was in, I don't know what grade it was, probably 8th grade. Who knows what grade it was? But it was middle school, and then it was when I was in 12th grade. So that's a huge gap. Well, it's a gap between middle school and 12th grade, but those are the only times I can think of that they actually held me accountable. And so one of them was like in middle school. So I, again, I wasn't told no often. So I just thought that I could call my teacher by his first name. And so, well, actually, he was a guidance counselor.
go
So
ahead.
for those people who I knew in middle school, y'all know Mr. Russell. And so I thought I could call him by his first name. And I don't even know what his name is. I don't know his first name anymore. I forgot what it is.
Russell.
That's his last name.
Russell.
Anyhow, so I called him. I don't know. I must call him Charlie.
Oh, Charlie Russell.
It's like Charlie Telfair. I
Charlie Russell.
can't think it was that. Anyhow.
Charles.
So let's just say, I called him Charlie, for example. And so I was like, oh, hey, Charlie, and kept on going to class. Do y'all know he called my parents? He called my mother at work. And I didn't know that, of course. He called her and told her what I did.
That's crazy.
That I called him his first name?
No, that's
Or
actually
that he
they
called her at work.
That's actually insane that he called your mom at work because you called him by his first name. You ain't called him out of his name.
Right.
Like, that's actually insane. That's an example of, and was he?
No, he's a black man,
So that's even worse,
which doesn't
bro.
make a difference.
That's even worse,
I
bro.
don't think.
Like, I mean, it in your environment, in your school district, in your particular high school environment,
Wait,
I could see how being in the boonies like
baby,
that had teachers.
it was middle school. So
Oh, that's even
it was the
worse.
school down the street, and
That's even
so
worse.
that school was very different in the
Oh,
early '90s.
he's a Tom, huh?
I don't know what he was. He was cool. Was a cool counselor, but anyhow, so
He wasn't cool that day.
I know-
Charlie wasn't cool that day.
So Mr. Russell called my mom at work, and so after work, she came home as she would normally do, and I thought everything was okay. But then she let me know that he called her, and I was embarrassed. And I wasn't embarrassed for what I did at the time. I was embarrassed that
You got caught.
exactly. And so she made me write a letter to Mr. Russell apologizing for your face. No one can see your face.
Yeah, because
She
I'm like,
made me
this is
write-
the crazy thing is this is your example. This is the one thing that you got in trouble for
But
was
I had
calling a
two
teacher.
things.
But this for calling a teacher out of his name in middle school. Well, not even call him out his
It was
name,
his first-
calling him his first name
Right.
in middle school. In middle school, I got grounded so many times. Phone take away, TV taken away, like, oh my goodness! Like I
My
got in trouble
parents
so
should
much.
have done that, but they didn't hold me accountable for much, and that was a detriment. And so hopefully, people that hear this know, hey, look, hold your kids accountable. They may not like it when they're young, but they'll appreciate it when they're older. Because I would have been so much better off had I been held accountable for stuff. So anyhow, she made me write a letter to him to apologize for calling him by his first name. And so that was the first time that I can actually recall being held accountable for what I did wrong.
Did you ever get detention?
Oh, I did have that.
So that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. Like, did
But
the
in
teachers not even hold you
No,
accountable?
but in that case, I was okay. So I was on a pro-black social justice kind of mindset in high school, and so I was so I had a silent protest. And you looking at me crazy. It was a history class. So at my high school, Mr. Theme. So for those of y'all who are new, in
Mr. Theme? That
Yeah.
can't be that Bama name. Y'all have the best administrators ever. His name
He's
is
a
Mr.
teacher.
Theme. Is he a literature teacher?
it was social studies / history.
Oh, so not the theme. That would have been better if it was literature. So he could have had to write a theme for Mr. Theme. I gotta write a theme for Mr. Theme.
Okay, anyhow,
Mr.
okay,
Theme.
so I was not held accountable for my protest at home. So my parents were not mad that I had my whole silent protest going on. So that to me was okay because they understood why I did not want to engage with this whole thing about basically whitewashing history. I didn't agree with that.
Right.
And so they were not mad that I got in trouble by him because they understood why. So that to me doesn't count as being held accountable because they got it.
In that time frame,
And that was that had to be maybe 10th or 11th grade.
so we're gonna call it 11th grade. So from middle school to 11th grade. So for 5 years, you got in trouble twice.
That I can recall, yes.
I feel like I got in
And I-
trouble twice
and
a
I-
week back then, and I was a good kid. I
I'm
was
thinking
a
really hard, too,
well-behaved kid.
just twice.
And now the other part of that, though, is that my parents were kind of the opposite.
What you mean?
Extremely strict. Held me accountable for every goddamn thing. If my bed wasn't made to a certain level of crispness, my father would get in my ass. If I didn't look him directly in the eye when he spoke, my father would have an attitude and beat my ass. If like I didn't do anything to the certain standards, it was a problem. That belt was coming out. Now that was the 80s. And then by the time I got older, then it was the whole, oh yeah, no TV, no phone. Remember when you had a house phone in your room?
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah.
No,
We
no
had
house.
second line. Yeah,
No house phone in my
that was
room.
my line. It was the
I
fax
didn't
line.
have. I didn't. My house. No house phone in the room. No TV. No Nintendo. No bicycle. All of that stuff. And so, like, I used to get held accountable for the dumbest of shit. Though you didn't take the chicken out to thaw out. Oh, you're grounded for the rest of the week. Like what? Like I mean that was my thing. You missed curfew by 10 minutes. We're taking your car away for a month. Like what? I gotta go to work.
Okay, so for you, those kind of things were extreme. Now, let me just clarify. There were times that I did not follow directions, such as take out the chicken in time, but I didn't. It wasn't more like, oh my gosh, Carol, we're mad at you. It was more like, I said take it out, you didn't do it, and I was like, sorry, and then that was it. So there was no accountability.
That's my point. Is
So it's
that
not like I didn't do anything that was wrong or bothering or
bothersome?
yes, thank you, bothersome to them as parents, but they just did not tell me what I could have done better or differently.
Well, like I guess from my perspective, I look at it like it's a gift and a curse. It's like, yes, I understand the right and wrong, good and bad. I understand there's levels to everything.
Okay.
And so I definitely do more good than bad in my life, that's for sure. I make sure I don't get in trouble with with the police. That's 100% sure.
Especially now, because you could end up dead.
I find every way possible to avoid altercations with police because I've been held accountable before. So I don't ever even try to get in situations where I'm gonna be in trouble. I avoid situations I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that drives to every single party by himself because I want to leave when I want to leave. I don't want to leave when they want to
Right,
leave.
you're right. You hate riding with people.
Yeah, I want to leave when I want to leave. Like
You don't live with you.
when shit gets kind of sideways, it's time to go. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not waiting on these niggas and be in the car and get pulled over. Like I'm not. Nah, that's not me. So from my perspective, I look at it like I said, kind of like a gift and a curse because to a certain extent, yes, I've learned to avoid a lot of the pitfalls in life that befell a lot of my peers. You know what I mean? Because I was the one who had to be in the house. So I couldn't run the streets all day and night because if I did, I was going to get hemmed up. And so I was like, I'm not trying to get in another fight with my parents. I'm not going out tonight, guys. Sorry. I'm not.
Right.
I'm going to work, going home. After school, going to work, going home. After school, going to practice, going home. I'm not running the streets with y'all. I'm not going to get 40s with y'all and go do ball head ho shit. like we didn't call it ball head ho shit back then.
I'm looking at you like,
we didn't do
that?
we didn't do none crazy shit back then, right? Like we didn't do nothing like that. Like they did. I avoided it, and so that was because when I was younger, I just used to get in trouble all the time and get little spankings all the time. And so once you get to that point, it starts to kind of mess with your psyche a little bit, and then you become non-confrontational. And so for a lot of times that kind of coincided with a I don't know if it was a misdiagnosis of ADHD or a misprescribing of Ritalin for my ADHD because I went from being a boisterous, leader of the pack type of guy to an ultra introvert who was scared of his own shadow. And so it took me until adulthood almost to grow out of that. It really did. It took me many years to grow out of feeling like if I opened my mouth, I was going to get in trouble or people aren't going to like me or whatever, just being socially awkward. And I think a lot of that had to do with feeling like I couldn't speak out or I was going to get in trouble. And just being held to a higher standard of accountability than any of my friends were. And being held to a higher level of accountability than my own brother who lived in my own house.
I was thinking that. But I was like, should I say that?
No,
You say that.
My own brother in my own house would do the craziest, wildest, dumbest shit and wouldn't even get looked at funny. But if I forget to take out the trash, they want to burn the house down. It's crazy how that sort of thing happens. And a lot of that I think has to do with us growing up in different eras. I mean, I'm 7 years older than my brother. So my parents were different people when I was young than when he was young.
But y'all have the same parents though. So
that's true.
So it's not as if as if he's your half brother or what have you. Y'all the same
But let's
household,
be
same
real though.
parents.
Let's be real though. A lot of times parents have conversations to be like, you know what, with this one, we're not going to do this because we might have messed this one up, and we're
You're
not.
right.
And so the funny part about all that is never holding him accountable. He never had a clean room. He was always disheveled. Never had it together. Now look at
Agree.
us. Now look at us. I'm grown,
And
married with
he's the
kids,
same.
successful, and he's still
The same as
still treading water.
he
And
was back
so
when I met you.
and so, like, that's what I'm getting at. Like, 22 years later, like, I've grown in many with different ways, and he ain't grown much at all. And I think that's what accountability does for you, is it forces you to hold yourself accountable. And that's where I tend to have the biggest issue with accountability, personally. It's, are we holding ourselves accountable? Yes, if you have real friends, they're gonna tell you when you're fucking up. I'm glad my friends tell me when I'm fucking up, like they do. I tell my friends when they're fucking up, hey man, you gotta go make up with her, man. You can't be doing that. You can't be talking, and y'all can't be arguing like this. Y'all go whatever the, you know what I mean? Like, I tell my friends when they're fucking up, and they tell me when I'm fucking up. And so I'm thankful for having real friends like that, because there's plenty of people out here who will say they're your real friend. I love you. You're my friend. I love you forever. Best friends forever. Blah, blah, blah. But won't even tell you when you're doing the dumbest of dumb decisions. Won't tell you.
Right.
Won't tell you. They won't tell you when you're making a bad decision. They won't tell you when you're doing something wrong, because they don't really care about what happens to you. They care about fun. Let's
Yeah.
go have fun.
So is that a man woman thing, or is that
Oh
just in
nah, oh
general?
nah. Because
Right.
I had guy friends who were like that too. That they just never. All they really care about is what's the next thing we gonna do. What's the next thing we gonna do? Where's the next place we gonna go? It's never a we probably should chill out type situation. It was always like turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up, and it's just like them be the ones who, like, they don't tell you when you're doing something wrong, because they just want to laugh or enjoy it. You know what I mean? And so I do think that women in particular do this to yourselves a lot. Is that y'all don't hold yourselves accountable for shit. And in particular,
For
you
each other, or
hold
you mean
hold
our
no
own
hold no
selves?
hold each other.
Gotcha.
You don't hold each other accountable. So like when one of your girlfriends sees you messing up in your relationship, are they saying, "Hey, yo, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should flip the script," or are they automatically like, "Nah, f that man. It's the man's fault." Men don't do that. Now, it we do be like, bees be crazy, because that's like what every man says. But then I ask, all right, well, what did you do? Well, I did this and she did this, and blah, blah. But bro, you did this. You can't do that, bro. You gotta fix that. That's how real men operate when we talk to each other. I be feeling like women don't do that. I be feeling like women go out of their way to cheer each other on, to be like, "Oh, f that man, he ain't shit."
No, hand raised from the woman over here. So let me just give a. I know they can't see me.
Then why are you doing it?
I was just being. I was being. For you, I was being funny. I was just pointing. Plus, these nails look amazing. So I was just showing you my awesome nails too. But I definitely, of course, had noticed that there are some kinds of women, some types of women who don't hold their friends accountable. And so I say the word friends
Loosely.
loosely, and I say it like friends because that is my way of like air quotes because they can't see me. But I do have people in my life who I thought were friends who would hold me accountable to certain things, but then when they were things that I would hope that they would give me advice on, I'd be like, oh, Carol, you could have I'm done it differently. They didn't have any kind of input, and so for me, I have found that I am the friend, and I use the word friend strongly now. That I am the friend who will hold people who I really care about accountable.
Mm-hmm.
So then that does go to what you're saying in terms of maybe they don't care enough
Mm-hmm.
because they don't care to give you suggestions or advice on how to actually go through something. So it could be a, things with work, things like with their kids, with their boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever. And so I have realized these last couple of years, that I am the one who people ask for advice, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm gonna like really give you an unbiased opinion, but if you're asking me, I'm gonna tell you. Now, that's only for, I would say, four or no, five people who I like will give my total unbiased opinion. So whether they're right or wrong, I'll tell them that so and so, you are wrong in this case, and he was right. You got to figure out how to have balance. So yes, you're right. It goes back, I think, to how much do we care about that friend to hold them accountable for what they're doing.
Okay, I mean, in your example
I don't care about
notwithstanding,
everybody. I don't.
yeah, your example notwithstanding, because you are your own individual person. Just in my experiences before I was married, and then also like listening to my friends talk about their relationships and listening to other people, because people ask me for advice too. I'm
You're
that.
the answer man.
Yeah,
It's pressure for
I
you.
tend to be the answer man for a lot of people, which is a lot of pressure, but
It's not always a
I
good
handle
thing.
it gracefully. I handle it like a, I handle it. I'm laughing at myself because I can't even tell the damn joke, but I handle that motherfucker. So,
What's your
anyway,
joke?
it was a car thing. Anyway, so the funny thing is that when I hear people talk about stuff, though, I feel like there's a lot more people who are in the same predicament that you were growing up, and I wonder if it was the way we were raised kind of thing, because there's the whole when we're little kids, like little kids,
So
like between
elementary.
toddler and elementary school age. I think because this whole thing switches with middle school, and as a father of daughters, I've been trying to be very, very cognizant of this, because I've studied this to a certain extent. Psychology class, I studied this to a certain extent because it was something that was curious to me, again, because of the disparity between me and my brother. So I always just wondered about how parents looked at things, right? And so kind of guided me towards how I'm a parent. But in any event, when we're younger, boys are always hit with the, oh, boys will be boys. They can fight, they can curse, they can break things, they can run amok, yelling, screaming, slower to develop even,
Right.
and not held accountable, because boys will be boys. And girls, on the other hand, are expected to mature so fast. You're expected to be a little lady. You're expected to know how to be demure and polite and proper and all those things. And you're held to such a higher standard at such a younger age. And then all of a sudden, like, puberty hits, and it's like a light switch goes off. And now the
For the
men,
boys or for the
for
girls?
both, and now men are held to a much higher level of accountability, because now we're seen as a threat to everybody. Like, I'm a super chill guy, right? I'm a pacifist. I love people. I want everybody to be happy. But if I walk outside right now, I'm a threat, because I'm a black guy wearing a black sweatshirt, right? So I'm a threat. And so, like, I mean, look at all of the things that have happened over the last few years. I mean, Tamir Rice, he was a threat. Trayvon was a threat. And these are innocent little kids, and they're seen as threats. And so that's when shit starts changing, and we get held to extreme accountability. You can't backtalk a teacher. You can't look at a teacher sideways. You can't do nothing in school because you're getting detention immediately. Yeah, immediately, and they can't wait to suspend you. They can't wait to suspend you and give you that record, that permanent record. Oh, you got a mark on your record. You don't want that on your permanent record. So, like,
That's a threat sometimes, I think.
no, I know it's a
Because
threat, but it's also
because I would be
a promise,
scared.
because you never got suspended. Like, did you get suspended?
It was
See,
detention when I did not want to engage in this whole whitewashing of history in
I
high
mean,
school.
I appreciate that, but I mean, I used to get
But
detention.
I mean, I got
Like,
detention,
I used to
but
get
my parents
detention all
weren't
the
mad
time.
at
I used to
me.
get detention all the time, being late for class, uniform violations. like, you know, just being a knucklehead. You know, I was a bit of a knucklehead when I was younger, so I would get detention. But you know, it would, from my perspective, it just like I didn't notice this until I was an adult and had read some things and, you know, watched a couple things about it. But at the same time, when the men start being held to a much, much higher standard of accountability, the women are not. The women are given much, much more freedom. And, oh yeah, she's mature. She matured faster, so she can go do whatever. Whereas like boys are like, no, be home at this time or you're in trouble. Like it's,
So I really think it has to do with actually how they were raised, because my parents. Okay, let me actually use Melanie as an example, because she was not held to the same standards of accountability that I was, and so she had, I guess, even less than me, which I didn't have a lot of, but they held her. They I guess wanted her, I guess, to be like me, which is also bad to compare your kids to each other. That doesn't bode well for anyone. Oh,
what I was saying is how when we're younger, the boys will be boys
oh
and,
okay, I
and
remember
girls
now.
will be girls, and y'all are held to a higher standard, and then
I
all of
remember
a
now.
sudden you're
Okay,
not, and then we're held to a higher standard.
okay, I remember now.
And then that carries all the way through adulthood where, oh, women can't really do anything wrong because you're the woman, and it's like everything's the man's fault.
For young girls who are growing into womanhood, if you have parents who are strict, they are going to hold you accountable for different things that may not even be what you have to do, such as like watch the kids, make sure the house is spotless, make sure everything is taken care of. So that I think really depends on how girls were raised. But in both of our cases, we were raised in a same gender sibling household. So like you didn't have any sisters. My
Oh,
brother didn't live with us, except for the summertime, and so that was not, of course, all year long. So,
right.
so like fall, fall, spring, and winter, it was just two girls in the house and as the kids. And so, if I had a brother who was in the actual house and being raised, I'm sure that I could definitely see a difference in how he was treated versus how the girls were treated. And the same for you, because you you had a brother, and that's it.
Well, I mean, like I have a aunt who's basically a cousin's age.
Well, yeah, she's like
So
what, a month older than
she's a
you,
month
your
and
aunt.
change older than me. So I did get to see a lot of the stuff that she did and didn't get in trouble for when I was
But
growing up.
but baby, y'all had different parents
Very
though,
true.
so you can't even
Very true.
compare
So it's hard to compare
her
that,
because
right?
that's your aunt slash cousin, not your sister.
Right. And so all of that kind of just goes to the last part of this that I was thinking about. And it's really the most important part of accountability. And no, it's not accountability for your spouse or accountability for your kids or even for your job. It's for yourself.
Yes.
You got to hold yourself accountable. You've got to know when you've messed up and be contrite and try to fix it. Now, I've been told by my significant other that I'm related to by marriage.
You and that daggone.
So
When is that coming?
anyway, I've been told that.
Make it stop next year, please.
See, you be making me laugh, and
Okay,
then
I'm sorry.
I can't even remember what the hell I'm saying, man.
Because
My
I'm
head hurts.
funny in my own way, and I make you laugh, even if you don't know it's coming. Okay, sorry, I'll be quiet. Stop looking at me like that.
So yes, you want to hold yourself accountable. When you make a mistake, own up to it. And so one of the things that my wife has told me is that I have a problem where if I do something or say something wrong, I immediately apologize and like it's supposed to go away. That's what she thinks I'm thinking. That's not what I'm thinking. What I'm
That's what
thinking
I'm
is
thinking.
what I'm thinking is self accountability. I fucked up. I acknowledge it. I want to acknowledge it. It doesn't mean it's going to go away, but at least I acknowledge it and apologize for it. I am, showing contrition. I am,
I understand what you're saying.
trying to at least make amends. by acknowledging my shortcomings in whichever area that was that I had to apologize for. So I have held myself to a really high standard for a long time, and that goes back to my childhood and just kind of my insecurities and just wanting to be the best I could be. My competitiveness, being an athlete, just really, really drove me. My competitiveness in the classroom also just really, really drove me to hold myself to a higher standard than the people around me. And that kind of, hurts you. You hurt your feelings that way. You hurt your own feelings that way often. It kind of is a lot harder on yourself than you need to be. And it kind of can be a self-fulfilling prophecy too. It's just like when you're so hard on yourself all the time, then you're never really happy because you're never satisfied. And that was something that really was a problem for me for years. It's just I was never satisfied with myself because I always felt like I could do more, and I'm just competitive, and hence holding myself accountable in a way that maybe I didn't even need to hold myself accountable for. You know, hindsight looking back, like I could say, to be where we are today, right now, I've done pretty good for myself considering, my background when we were much younger. But by the same token, I still look at it like, well, I still ain't arrived yet because I want to do this and this and this and this, and because I can't do this and this and this and this right now, or whatever the case may be, I get upset with myself, like I really do. And that's where, having self accountability can go wrong. And so, I want people to understand that it is important to hold yourself to a higher standard. It is important to try to grow and be better, to learn new things, to, be a better human, to be kind. All of those things are important. It's important to be punctual. It's important to, be where you say you're going to be and do what you're supposed to do. All of those things, right? Hold yourselves accountable in that way. But you don't want to take it so far that you're making yourself miserable because you're not living up to the standard that you set for yourself. And that was the one thing I really had to learn as it pertained to accountability was I'm already feeling like everything's my fault.
And everything is not
Right,
always going to
right.
be your fault.
Right. So like that's kind of the issue is just like once you've started holding yourself to such a high standard, now you're always holding yourself to the high standard and feeling like everything's your fault. So that's what I would want to warn people against is like, yeah, go ahead and be like I feel like my voice sounds terrible right
Your
now
voice
because I
sounds
can't
fine.
I literally can't even hear myself in my head. I'm so congested. But I'm gonna just keep talking. So yeah, just like don't. I mean, yes, hold yourself accountable for your actions, your words, your deeds, those type of things. You know what I mean? Hold yourself accountable. When you make a mistake, own it and learn from it and try to get better. Don't try to blame it on somebody else. Don't try to
You
pass
taught
the
me
buck.
that as a grown woman. And so I am grateful, definitely, because everyone who knows us knows that we were friends first. And so that basis of being a friend, you would definitely tell me when I was wrong. And it took me years, however many years it was, I'm not sure. You can tell me how many years it was for me to actually acknowledge that things can be my fault.
You said you don't know how long ago it was. It took years.
Like before I started to say like yes, it's my fault because it wasn't an immediate thing with us being married because I would find ways to blame something on someone else. I'm not even always saying you. It could be. I said not always saying you. Yes, so I would blame things that I did wrong or that I caused on you, on the way I grew up, on co-workers, like whatever it was going on. I would find a way to try to get out of it. And so, like, you called me out on that early on in our marriage. And so I did not receive that well
No, so you did not.
for a couple of years. But I appreciate it even back then and even still now. So I appreciated that you did tell me no. So you did tell me, look, it's your fault. Be accountable because I was not held accountable for hardly anything as a teen, and that was a detriment to me. And so as a mom of three daughters, I definitely try my best to show them by example that you have to be accountable for your words, your actions, for even like what you say you're going to do. So I definitely will say I'm proud of the fact that I hold my word very well when it comes to being somewhere. So whether I say that, hey, so and so, I'll support your event.
Hey, she'll show up to the jump. Now, whether or not she show up on time, whether she show up on time is a whole nother thing. She'll be there.
I will not miss anyone's event that they ask me to come.
She's gonna miss the beginning. She's gonna miss the beginning of the event.
I may miss the beginning of your birthday party, of your kids' sports game, of your whatever, but I will be there. I will not come. And if I can't make it, I will at least call or text and say, hey, so and so, sorry, I can't make it. I don't want to leave anyone hanging because I know how it feels to be like, oh, yeah, Carol, we're going to come in. And we're like, oh, what happened? So anyhow, you definitely hold me accountable, and so I'm thankful for that because I did rebel against that for however many years it was early on. But you were adamant about, Carol, you got to be accountable. So that's an awesome thing.
You know why?
Because I wasn't held accountable except for in...
Well, how would I know those two things?
Because I just told you.
No, back then I wouldn't have known those things. What I'm saying is the reason the reason that I said that you need to be accountable is because I was held accountable to the utmost extent. Things weren't even my fault that were my fault.
And it hurt. That was a detriment as well from how your parents raised you, because you take everything to be your fault and it's not. And
well, I am the master of my domain, and so I control my own destiny.
Right.
Therefore, if something is not to my liking, I am accountable for it. I am capable of change. I am a change agent, in fact. So that's where I say that, yes, things be my fault when they go wrong, because at the end of the day, I am holding myself accountable for not making the correct decision that caused something to go wrong. Now, sometimes they're outside of your control, and that's where I need to get a little bit more, a little bit less, a little bit less strict with those. I guess is what you would say, not strict, but you know what I mean. Like I gotta give myself a little bit of a break when it comes to certain things, but other times, like I feel like that's why I'm good at my job. That's why I've been good at all the jobs I've worked. That's why I've been good at school. That's why I feel like I'm good at pretty much everything I try, is because I take it seriously and I hold myself accountable for the results. Like I do hold myself accountable for the results. If things things don't turn out well, I get pissed off and I want to make it better. Like, I mean, just thinking about the dinner I made last night. I made a big giant pot of chili. It's excellent. My kids scarfed it down. Like, I'm not going to put which one of them out there, but she had 2 bowls in 10 minutes of this chili.
Why do you got to give her a whole time frame?
Because dog, it was that fast. She ate 2 bowls of it before I had finished my first one. It was lit. I was like, oh, this chili must be pretty good, but it wasn't to my standard. It was lacking a little something, and I've been racking my brain ever since, until this afternoon when I finally heated up some more and I put something else in it. I was like, oh yeah, there we are. And so, like, that's what I'm saying, is that there's times where it can be detrimental. Like, I'm racking my brain over chili, which was successful chili. Right. Everybody liked it. And I'm losing sleep over the flavor not being right. And so that's where, like, your self-accountability can almost turn into insecurity. And so you got to protect against that. And I'm by no way or means a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I'm neither. But oh my gosh, the fact that you have to close your eyes to hear better.
Because because you know I cannot read lips. You've known that for 22 years.
Well, I'll
And
just
so
say what I'll
I
say.
don't
I'll just say what I say
just
off
text me.
offline.
Just send me a
But
text.
anyway, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I play one on TV, and
Womp
I did
womp.
definitely study. I did definitely study those things in college. Those were the classes that were most interesting to me were sociology and
That
psychology.
was a good class of
Yeah,
sociology.
so sociology. I took a high level sociology as a freshman. I took social problems like a 300 level, and I got an A in that John. It was a hard class, but I loved it because I lived it and I understood where things were coming from. And so anyway, what I was getting at was like that's why I've always been kind of a accountability has always been something on my list because I understood what it means from a psychological makeup perspective and how important it is not only to hold yourself accountable, to hold those around you accountable.
Thanks everyone for joining into this week's episode. But before we go, it's time for
Wordplay.
wordplay. Who wants to go first?
I go first.
Okay, excuse me.
Hurry up and get some antihistamines and a lozenge or something.
Okay,
I
so
just like the word lozenge.
my letter will be Z
Bruh.
because I'm being
Extra.
exactly. I'm just being so
You're
extra.
being extra.
Yes, so my letter is Z. It's a wordplay. We both take a letter. Yeah, we have about 45 seconds or so to give the definition and use it in a sentence.
Z's. All right.
Yes, get your Z's.
Ready? And
There's no real timer though.
bang. Okay. That's easy.
I hope so.
No, it is easy. If you can't name this, this is easy.
Is that a challenge?
You ready? Zionism.
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 That is the ism that relates to a certain type of religion.
Oh my gosh.
What? Is that right?
I mean, the thing about it is given current events, it's so relevant. Like, what were the odds? I mean, this is on page
Oh my goodness.
1457
Why are you giving
of
page
the
number?
dictionary because I'm trying to think what are the odds that I would have pulled this word and when you said Z, given the current political climate and everything that's gone on involving this group. Like that's why I was saying like Zionism. Zionism is an international movement originating for the establishment of a Jewish national or religious community in Palestine and later for the support of modern Israel. That's what Zionism is.
Okay. I did not know that part.
Zion was originally the citadel in Palestine, which was the nucleus of Jerusalem.
And so speaking of that, I have a friend actually who was there right now. So when she gets back, I have to ask her about that experience because I'm like, what? You're going to Jerusalem? Oh my gosh, amazing. So I didn't use it in a sentence, but I kind of did already. So what's your letter? Mike?
I'm about to use it in a sentence, but I kind of did already.
Yeah, because I defined it and I used, okay,
I defined it.
No,
I defined it.
I gave my definition, which was...
You gave your definition, which was not the definition.
Right, that was my attempt. Okay, my sentence is... Oh, now I got pressure, and I'm getting nervous, and my... okay, my sentence...
Bruh.
Zionism is something that I learned about today.
There you go. There you
So
go.
pathetic.
That is a sentence.
Yes,
There's
it's
a subject and a
sentence.
predicate. Good job.
Yes. What is your letter, baby?
My letter will be F. F's in the
'Cause you're
chat.
fantastic. Huh?
F's in the group chat.
I don't get that.
I know. It's okay.
I don't understand that. Okay. Is that a man thing?
Yeah, it's okay.
Is that a Black Twitter thing? I don't understand what that means.
Lord help me.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Your word is easy, but okay. Your word is fling.
Fling?
Yes.
Word is fling.
Yes, your word
Okay,
is fling.
so like to toss or throw some shit. Also could be used as a euphemism for an affair. A fling. There you go. I'm going to fling that football across the yard right at that squirrel sitting on my fence. Fling.
Okay.
Bang.
So thanks.
I win wordplay. Yes, I'm undefeated.
Because
Undefeated.
we have never been taking score, so this is something new.
Hey.
This is not a score thing. This is a fun thing. It's not about score. So
That's because you didn't win. That's me. You want to be held accountable.
I was never thinking of it as score, but anyhow, thanks everyone for joining us for. Thanks everyone for joining us for the Linguistics Show. Make sure that you check out past episodes. You can find us on Anchor and Spotify and Stitcher. If you have a topic that you want us to talk about, send us a DM on Instagram. The name is @Linguistics Show. Why are you looking at me like that? Oh my gosh. And join us next week when we have part 2 of accountability. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a good night.
If you enjoyed this, like, comment,
Subscribe and share to the Linguistic Show.
This has been an Ashangali Enterprises production.
Co-produced by Naomi. Music by Brassville.